And we don't have a say in where we are born, so it doesn't make sense to be proud of where we are from, because we had nothing to do with it. It's not an accomplishment to be born in a certain place.
That's a beautiful.
Or to be born in a royal family, or to belong
Yes.
to a certain lineage, or so on and so forth.
So essentially, there are three things. Typically when we talk about identity,
Yeah.
In the world that we live in. So one is race.
Yeah.
Which family, which tribe do you belong to?
Yeah.
The other is wealth.
Yeah.
Or money.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the third is nationalism. Which sort of country do you belong to?
Yeah.
As a human being, as a human species.
Yeah.
On the subject of identity, there is a specific verse which is very famous.
Yeah.
Where Allah says in the Quran, "Ya ayyuhan nas." Interestingly, it doesn't talk to the believers. It talks to the human race.
Okay.
Yes, and it says, "Inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa." We created you from a man and a woman.
Okay.
Right? And it goes on to say, "Waja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu."
Yeah.
We created tribes.
Yeah.
So that amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
So that you can recognize yourself. And then it goes on to say, "But inna akramakum indallahi atqakum."
Yeah.
The best amongst you, the noblest amongst you are those
Yeah.
who fear God, or who are good in their conduct, who
Yes.
obey the commandments of God.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't really matter which race you belong to. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white,
Yep.
you're European or African,
Yes.
or Arab or Asian.
Absolutely.
What matters is how good is your conduct.
Absolutely, I completely agree, and we can see the effects of nationalism, and I think a very good example will be Hitler. He was very nationalistic about
Yes.
Germany, and
Yes.
he massacred Jews on a very large scale,
Yeah.
which was horrific. And
Yeah.
that shows you that these values that a lot of people are holding on to these days, about nationalism and having to be from a certain race, or to be from a certain family, or to be from to feel superior because of that, can be very harmful for you and for the
Yes.
society.
Yes.
And I think any smart person would very easily recognize that the best way to judge a person's value is by their actions.
Correct.
By their intentions, values, and actions.
Correct. Correct.
And that would be the best way to judge someone. And we still won't be able to judge anyone, because we don't truly know the intentions of anyone.
Of course.
So I think, for myself at least, the best way is to treat everyone with respect and kindness.
Yeah.
As much as we can. Whether they are rich or poor, or whichever family or background they are from, wherever they are from, we should try to have the best conduct towards them.
And nationalism, interestingly, is I'm almost tempted to use the word hoax, but I sort of will avoid using that.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not bad to feel connected with a certain place. That is okay.
Yep.
If I'm born in a certain place,
Yep.
I'm born in a certain family.
Yep.
Islam does not stop you from,
Yep.
from liking that place.
Yeah.
Or from having a certain kind of culture.
Yeah.
And from liking those people. So that is perfectly okay. So there's nothing wrong with feeling good about where you live.
Yeah.
Or with feeling good about the family that you belong to. Right? But that's about it.
Yeah.
But if we begin to make that our identity,
yeah,
then there is a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it is no longer. Then it is no longer the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have a say in where we are born, so it doesn't make sense to be proud of where we are from, because we had nothing to do with it. It's not an accomplishment to be born in a certain place.
That's a beautiful.
Or to be born in a royal family, or to belong to a certain lineage, or so on and so forth.
No, I think that's a wonderful argument.
Yeah.
Which we always need to keep in mind is, you shouldn't brag about or be proud of something that you have no you know, that you didn't put any effort into.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were born in a certain family,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's not something that
You have accomplished.
that you've accomplished. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is correct. Now, interestingly, there's a beautiful story. If you've heard Dr. Umar Sulaiman, he's got a lecture on Khalid bin Walid, which is absolutely wonderful. And so during that lecture, he talks about Khalid bin Walid's father, which was Walid bin Mughira.
Okay.
Now, Walid bin Mughira
Yeah.
was the wealthiest man and the chief of the main tribe in the time of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in that area.
Yeah.
They say that he was, you know, very wise. And so when he first heard the Prophet, and he was a poet as well, he was a poet himself as well. So when he heard the Prophet recite the Quran, you know, he said, this is not poetry. No, this is, I know poetry, but this is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was, he said, Muhammad is not also a liar. We know that he doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So he's not lying.
Can I
He's not a
just
poet.
interrupt
Yes,
for a
go
second?
ahead.
I think if you start to understand even a little bit of Arabic and you read the Quran, you begin to very easily recognize that the Quran is actually really powerful, and the meaning and the way that it has been written is really unique and powerful. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he says, you know, this person does not lie, and this is not poetry. And so he sort of, you know, he's beginning to get a sense of what it is. So he starts visiting Prophet Muhammad, and you know, he starts listening to what he has to say.
Yeah.
At the same time, Abu Jahl, you know, from sort of the same family,
Yeah.
he comes along, and you know, he tells him, because he was just deadly against Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said to Walid bin Mughira, he said, you know, you're the chief of the tribe. What do you think? You know, this is something new, and so unfortunately he starts pacing around. Walid bin Mughira starts.
So this apparently someone who is known as a very wise man is more concerned with what people think about him rather than what is actually true.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So he starts pacing about, and you know, he starts thinking, and he then finally comes up with something, and he says, you know what? This is magic. Right? And now, interestingly, there are verses in the Quran, in Surah Al-Mudassir, which is very, very strong, dedicated to this person, Walid bin Mughira, right? The father of Khalid bin Walid, right? And it sort of explains this entire episode. You know, فَقَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ, you know, he thought, you know, when he was pacing, he thought about it. فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. And it is so tragic that what did he come up with? فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ. He said, this is magic. إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا قَوْلُ الْبَشَرِ. Yes? And Allah says, سَأُصْلِيهِ سَقَرَ. You know, I will put him in hellfire. And even before those verses, Allah says, you know, when he was describing this person, so Allah says, فَذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. Leave me and this person alone. Now the word wahida, now one, it is a very, very powerful verse. You know, Allah is saying, you know, leave me alone with, you know, sort him out. This is a very powerful verse.
Yeah.
وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا. And I have given him so much wealth. وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا. And he had lots of sons. Yes. وَمَهَدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا. And you know, I've given him all kinds of facilities. ثُمَّ أَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدًا. And he still wants to, ثُمَّ يَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدًا. He still wants, you know, that more. He wants more.
Yeah.
And then it goes on. He was actually given an opportunity. He clearly saw that this was not poetry.
Yeah.
Right? He sort of recognized it was from God, but just because of, you know, the race.
Yep.
And all of those things, you know, they took them down.
Yep.
So this is a beautiful story which tells us that race is not important. It can take you to all the wrong places. Yes?
Absolutely, yes.
If you start bragging about the fact that you belong to a certain race.
Yeah.
So this is the chief of his tribe, and he was the wealthiest man.
Yeah.
So race, wealth and money. Yeah. Yes. These are not
valid criteria.
These are not the valid criteria when you truly define, you know, what a human being is supposed to be comprised.
Yeah.
Money is not a bad thing.
Yep.
It's a good thing.
Yep.
Yes. But you cannot, you should not be judging people based on that.
Yeah, absolutely.